Get excited guys, because the new WoW content patch 9.1 Chains of Domination has just landed on the PTR, and I'm going to run you through all the biggest things that I've found on day one. Some of the things that I'm going to be talking about are separate shoulder transmog options, extended conduit trees with the ability to enhance certain conduits, a big hint on how many weeks until we finally unlock flying, new renown unlocks that affect your anima gains, and I'll give you a spoiler warning when I discuss this one in the video, but I've made a huge discovery about one of the boss mechanics in the new raid, and it looks very exciting. And I'll also chat a bit about Blizzard's new inbuilt Mythic Plus player score system that they've briefly announced and what it could mean for players. Now, there are still a bunch of features that weren't included in this build that I think just weren't quite ready yet, so I'll be discussing those ones as they come out. But let's get into it. Too long now have we been forced to conform to the standard of matching shoulder pieces. Well, no more I say. Now on the PTR and in the live game when it launches, you can toggle this little checkbox on the transmog window and your left and right shoulders will appear as two separate slots. So that means that you can then change their look independently of one another, even choosing to hide one of them completely if you just dig that asymmetric look. When this was announced, I wasn't super hyped, but after playing around with it, there are just so many wacky combinations that can come from this. So I'm actually a big fan now. I'm just wondering how far they'll take this though. Will we see separate boot or glove transmogs down the road? Would you want to see that? Let me know down below. Next up, we have a huge gameplay and player power change with a significant extension to the conduit system. Now don't worry, all the conduits you've been farming haven't been made redundant just yet, but we can see another 4 rows have been added to every soulbind, complete with one of each conduit slot and a plethora of new powers. But that's not all. At the later renown levels, you'll actually start unlocking enhanced conduit slots, which is either bugged at the moment or intentionally is just applied to all of our slots for testing. But as you can see here, this enhanced slot gives my clearcasting regrowths an extra 30% healing, whereas the actual conduit level I have only gives 26%. So at the moment it looks like it boosts the conduit by about 2 upgrade levels, which may not seem like much, but I guess it's going to seem like a bigger deal when you get to the higher ranks. Now, on the subject of renown rewards, we have a pretty certain time frame on when we're going to be unlocking flying in Shadowlands. My last video discussed all the systems involved in unlocking flying, and that it is tied to the end of the new Covenant campaign, and I speculated about what renown level that might be. If you haven't seen the video yet, there's a link in the top corner, but basically we now know that the final campaign level will be unlocked at renown level 59. This means it is likely going to be about 6 or 7 weeks into the patch if you get your 3 levels every week. However, that being said, it looks like they may be shaking things up a little because the campaign unlocks are not all spaced 3 levels apart like they were in 9.0. It makes me wonder if we'll be getting more than 3 levels a week. It would certainly make getting from 1 to 80 a lot less daunting if there were 5 to 6 guaranteed levels per week instead of the 3. I guess we can only hope at this stage. And yes, you heard right. If you weren't already aware, the renown cap has gone up to 80, but that brings with it a host of new upgrades. On top of the enhanced conduits I mentioned before, we've also got 3 of these new boosts to World Quest anima. We've got these adventure upgrades, which may just end up being tied to cosmetics on the mission table, but I'll keep an eye out. We've also got the expected increases to soulbind rows, item level sources, and those stamina boosts. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, I found something really cool when I was checking out the adventure journal for the new raid. So minor spoiler warning here guys, I'm about to show the mechanics list and name of the first boss in the new raid, which isn't exactly a secret if you watch the announcement at BlizzConline, but if you really don't want to see it, please just jump ahead right now to the next timestamp in the video bar. Okay, so as mentioned by Blizzard in that announcement, we are fighting the Terragru in the new raid, and appropriately, he is the first boss. I was looking through his mechanics and saw this gem. At 10% health remaining, the Terragru calls out to the jailer. This removes all anima powers from players. That's right, in a very fitting fashion, we are getting Torghast anima powers to fight the Terragru in the raid. This brings up so many more questions, but I am excited regardless. Like, surely it can't just be completely RNG like in Torghast with all of your class's powers, otherwise some of the fights would just be either impossible or just a cakewalk. Imagine serious progression players just resetting the boss every single time until they get this certain set of insane powers. So either they're going to have to restrict it to boring powers or just give us a bit of choice over which ones we pick up. The raid testing on this one will be really interesting and it's going to happen soon, so watch this space. Let me know if you have any thoughts about how they could implement this and keep it relatively balanced. Okay, so the spoilers are now over, you can all come back. And there is one more thing I want to touch on in the video. Raider.io, the somewhat controversial Mythic Plus player scoring system, have confirmed that they've been working with Blizzard on an in-game player score system going live in 9.1. While it's not on the PTR yet, Raider.io have stated that the system will work very similarly to their current implementation. So the game is going to give your character a score based on the highest keys you've completed and timed for each dungeon, and other players will be able to see that score to help the formation of groups of similarly experienced players. At least that's the idea anyway. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of it because of its exclusionary nature. For those of you that don't like the system, don't start stressing just yet. I'm sure Blizzard are well aware that lots of people don't like it, and I'm almost certain that they'll have some ideas for minimizing these negative impacts for the players that just aren't interested. Personally, I don't mind the system in its current form because it generally only applies to higher keys anyway, and you can just bypass it entirely by using your own key. But I'm very interested to see how it will actually work built into the game. I'll let you know more on this as news comes to hand, but tell me what you think of it down in the comments. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please help more people find it by giving that like button a tap, and if you're interested in more 9.1 and Shadowlands content, hit that little red subscribe button as well. I honestly can't believe the support you guys have shown the channel already. It's insane that we are already approaching that 1K mark. So every single sub means the absolute world to me and gives me the cheesiest smile for the rest of the day. Sorry there's been a bit of a delay between videos. With the wedding and honeymoon, I got mind-blowingly far behind with my final semester of university. I've finally caught up with a couple of months to go, so I'll be pumping out a few more 9.1 videos in the coming weeks, and then a whole heap more, plus live streams when I finish in June. Until then though, feel free to jump on my Twitter for updates between videos. But until next time, thanks for watching, take care, and get yourself prepared for 9.1.